Do you know the term, your frequency is your currency? If you don't know this term, you're going to want to start to pay attention to it and perhaps begin to adopt it. And that is what today is about. Hello and welcome to Say Yes to You and Why You Don't. For women who are great, it's saying yes to others, but not always as great. It's saying yes to themselves, but are ready to make the switch. I am Claudia Braun, mindset and lifestyle, an EFT coach for women who are ready to say yes to themselves. So I'm so excited about this conversation we're having today because this is something that I talk about often with my friends, my clients, my community, because this is such an important realization, especially in this time when everything around you can feel so intense and heated up. It can feel really challenging to maintain your own inner strength, inner peace, inner well-being, and very easy to get off balance. And so when you start to really know that your frequency is your currency, you start to really understand where your internal power lies and when you're not there. And I also want to invite you to take advantage of the Say Yes to You one-to-one conversation, because I want to help you understand how you're getting in the way of your own frequency and ultimately your own currency. And there's a link in the show notes, so do take advantage of that and give yourself the opportunity during this very intense time to have the best experience for yourself that's possible. And when you really know how to rewire your mind and get yourself back on track, you really see how amazing you can feel. This is a complete side note, but I just wanted to share. Yesterday, I got a text message from a client of mine who told me that her mom had a stroke and was so thankful for the work that she and I have done together over the past several months, because she said, there's no way I could be handling this in the way that I'm handling it. I would have made such different choices before, and I would have just not felt the kind of peace and well-being and ability to navigate this in such a way that makes me feel like I'm doing the best for myself and my mom. So this works when you really put these practices into your life, when you learn how to navigate yourself in a different way. You are able to navigate the things that come up in your life, which you don't know what's going to come up in your life. But what you do know is that things are going to come up. And when you have the ability to tap into the strength and the internal fortitude that's there, that is not muddied by fear, worry, anxiety, a need to fix something, you just make such different choices from such a different place. I personally know this to be true, and I know it with my clients, and the text message I got yesterday was just more validation, and I wanted to offer that up to you. So this conversation, your frequency is your currency. What does that mean? So your frequency is something that can actually be measured, and you yourself can measure it. We are vibrational beings. We are beings who, we have an energy system that runs through us. You know this from, the acupuncture system is a great example of, it uses the energetic system. There are 12 meridian energetic pathways that run through the body. And when those 12 energetic pathways are not in balance, you're sick, your body runs down, you're susceptible to so many maladies. And the key is keeping your body system in vibrational, energetic balance. And the thing that messes up your vibrational, energetic system more than anything else is stress. And how do you get stressed? Anxiety, fear, worry, overwhelm, all add to your vibrational charge being depleted. And that's the thing, is that to truly navigate your life with the greatest capacity, ability to experience the kind of life that you want for yourself, you want to have a fully charged battery, electrical system, vibrational system, frequency. So in this moment, ask yourself, where is your frequency? How are you feeling? How is your mind been going? What's the direction it's been going? You know, we have one side of the mind that takes you into a place of delight and joy and all things good. And then there's another side of your mind that takes you down the rabbit hole: fear, anxiety, worry, dread, all the bad things that are happening, all the bad people that are out there. I mean, the mind is constantly looping around. So to keep your mind from that looping back and forth, you need to come into an understanding of how this is happening. So it first starts by really taking a pause and kind of tuning in with what's going on with your frequency. Where are you at? Are you on the lower side of the scale? Are you on the upper side of the scale? If you want to think of it as from 0 to 100, anything from, 60 down is all a lower frequency. Really, you want to be up to the 80s and up to 100 to really be feeling in your optimal capacity. So as you move around in your day, do you tend to be thinking about what's the next bad thing that's going to happen? Who's the next bad person you're going to run into? What's the next bad thing you're going to read in the news? What's the next horrible disease you're going to end up with? I mean, if your mind tends to be hanging out in that direction, you know yourself, you're operating anywhere from 60 down to 0, making it super hard to feel good feelings. And if you do feel good feelings, they feel fleeting. So know that there is no judgment on that. And just because you may find yourself there now, it doesn't mean that's where you have to stay. I don't care how long you've been hanging out there. It doesn't mean that's where you have to stay, unless you want to, unless you think, no, that's how it has to be. Then okay. But I'm going to guess if you're listening in, you're thinking, I kind of don't want to hang out there anymore. Been hanging out there, don't really like it, don't like the effects of it. Because, that line, like attracts like. So if you tend to be somebody who wants to complain, who wants to get into how horrible things are in the world, you're going to start attracting people like that into your life who complain a lot, who want to talk about how horrible things are, who want to look at how everything's going to, hell in a handbasket. Not that hard to do. And, if you're hanging out there and you're hanging out with people like that, you're not feeling so good. Your mind is at war. It's not at peace. And if you want to have more peace, if you want to have more joy, if you want to have more well-being, if you want to feel more daily happiness, on some level you have the awareness that this is not working. And that's the good news, because when you get to the place of this is not working, maybe you're in the place you're not sure what does work, but when you start to realize what you are doing isn't working, that's where you become teachable, open to another way. And that's when good things can really start to happen. So we've identified the lower end. If you keep hanging out in there, and the practice that keeps you hanging out there is, if you notice, your mind is looking for what's wrong. And you know, if you look for what's wrong, you're going to find what's wrong. There is some strange thing that goes on in the mind that tells people that's how it's supposed to be. You're supposed to look for what's wrong. But here's the thing. If you feel bad, you got to know on some level, that's not how it's supposed to be. We're all here to feel good. Look at babies. They come into this world, they're here happy, joyful. It's only when they get culturized and taught to think and believe differently that their happiness, their joy starts to diminish. I full believe that we at any point have the ability, capacity to reprogram, rewire the mind, your mind, so that you can truly increase your frequency, move up that energetic, vibrational frequency scale to go to 70, 80, 90, 100. Maybe you don't live there 100% of the time, but what would it be like if you lived there 50% of the time, 60% of the time, 70% of the time? If you woke up seeing the good, seeing the joy, seeing the things that go well in your life, in your family's life, in the community's life, how much different would your life experience be? And that's the shift that needs to start happening so that you increase your frequency. And as you increase your frequency, you become more the attractor of experiences of that frequency. Does that make sense? Because for that to then turn into currency, it means that you are shifting from one who is attracting negative experiences to one who is attracting good things in your life. As you put more good into the world by seeing the good, by commenting on how good that is, how well you do, how well your body does. The sun comes up every day, things are growing, seasons are changing. As you begin to truly be the witness to it and fan the flame of it, you increase your frequency. And then you begin to attract more people of a like frequency, which opens you up to new ways of thinking, new ways of being in the world, new experiences, more creative expression, more inspiration. And then you begin to feel more joy in your day-to-day life. And I know in working with my clients, they have told me the relationships are better because as they're starting to shift in their life, feel happier, their husbands are starting to become somebody like that, shifting and noticing, being more complimentary, being more willing to experiment, to try new things, be more open-minded. Like attracts like. Even if you've been in relationships, situations with people for decades, as you begin to shift and change, those around you cannot help but be affected by what you are putting out. And as you are walking around as somebody who sees the good, sees the shifts and changes that are for the better, you also put that out into situations that kind of can be negative, and that situation begins to change. Years ago, I was with a friend, and we were in a really, we were having just a really nice time with each other, and we were very connected and just having a lot of loving connections with each other. And we were at a pool, and there was a lot of kind of jockeying in the pool, and people were kind of rowdy, and we weren't really that excited about it, but we wanted to go in the water. So we, with our, very loving connection to each other, we got in the water. And I'm going to tell you, within about 10 or 15 minutes, things started to calm down in the water. It was no longer like people wrestling and arguing with each other. Suddenly, things shifted and people started getting out of the water. And it was like, that is, to me, exactly what happens in your life. When you start shifting how you are, people around you start to change or they leave. And both are important. You start to realize what you might be holding on to that you don't need. You start to realize experiences that were draining your energy, draining your frequency, start to disappear. Or people, situations start to change. Because the more you see what's wrong with somebody or a situation, the worse it gets. The more you start to see the good in things, the good in people, the good in situations, the more, even if you decide you don't want to be with them, there isn't that angst anymore. There is an ability to separate and walk away with peace, with an understanding. And that's where your frequency increasing expands your currency. This is such an important practice. And it is a practice because you walk around with your mind all day long and it's talking to you all day long. The mind is very busy. And so if your busy thoughts are easily going into negativity, depression, anger, justified anger, irritation, attack, you have the ability to turn it around. You're not going to do it instantly, but if you do it little by little, you'll start to notice how your mind quiets down. You start to notice how you don't feel so jangled. You don't feel so upset, so anxious. You start to feel more joy, happiness, peace. And as that starts to happen, you start to notice things, people around you slowly start changing. So I want you to really try this on if it speaks to you. And I would love to hear what it is that you take away from this and how it could perhaps change your life and make a difference. I thank you so much for being here. It is my absolute delight and pleasure to be with you. I love these conversations and I love to hear your comments. And I appreciate you for tuning in. So do take advantage of the conversation that I'm offering so that you can give yourself permission to say yes to yourself and experience greater peace and an elevation of your frequency during this time so that you don't have to be one who is brought down by the machinations of the world, because there will always be machinations in the world. I am Claudia Braun, Mindset lifestyle and EFT coach for women ready to start saying yes to themselves. Thank you for being on this podcast with me of Say Yes to You and Why You Don't. And I'll look forward to being with you next week. And if there's a particular topic you would like to hear about, please let me know. Bye for now.